Y'all, this video could get me canceled. I was just looking over the market, analyzing prices, seeing where we're at, and I really think that all signs really point to this being a very healthy and sustainable market. I know that that's a hot take, but before we go further, I am Matt from RARTCG, and I want to encourage you to hit that like button and subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subs, and let's see if we hit 5 to 10 likes on this video. That would be so lit. Okay, here we go. So I think the Pokemon market is extremely healthy and sustainable right now, and I know that some people watching this are going to have an immediate reaction to that statement, and I want to address the elephant in the room. There is an issue with the Pokemon hobby, but I actually don't think it's the market, okay? Whenever you review a healthy market, there are certain signs that point to it being healthy, being a bubble, it being unhealthy, and I think right now what we're seeing is a market, a hobby space that is extremely healthy, extremely strong, and isn't showing signs of backing down anytime soon. Now we see that by surging prices, not surging sparks, surging prices in different sets. Look at look at Paldean Fates right now with all of the chase cards rising, right? The Charizard, the Bubble Muse going crazy. Is that manipulation? You could make an argument for that, but honestly, if you look at these like big jumps, you hear people like Rudy, Nostalgianomics, all these people say that Pokemon does not gradually rise over time. It does this stair step thing. And I think that we're experiencing another surge in the market where we're going to take another step up, kind of on the staircase, right? And I think that's what we're seeing with the Charizard and Bubble Mew from Paldean Fates. We're also seeing it with the Charizard from Obsidian Flames as well. This is very like classic textbook, like Pokemon rising in value. It's nothing out of the normal necessarily. Will we see some of those prices soften, a retracement? I think so, but will they go back down to the previous level? I think that's highly unlikely, y'all. So let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. It's 2-3 minutes in, so if you haven't already jumped down, hit that dislike button, left a negative comment, and left, let's talk about some of the negatives before we really start diving into the positives that I think is really important for us to consider, okay? So, and by the way, if you hit the dislike button, thank you. Like, that's super valuable feedback. It's really great. I always want to encourage people to hit that dislike button anytime you see fit. That's totally cool. So here's the elephant in the room. There is an issue with the hobby, and the issue really stems from the top down. The issue is that there's not enough supply. The Pokemon company is not releasing enough supply to meet demand. Now, there could be a lot of different theories or conspiracy theories that say maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they are intentionally avoiding printing enough to reach demand, because there's this idea that once they hit that threshold of meeting demand, that prices are going to fall, the market's going to crash, all of that stuff's going to happen. If you hear that train, that's pretty cool. But I think that there could be some of that going on. Like maybe Pokemon is being very hesitant or very calculated with how much they're reprinting and in what ways they're reprinting. Because everyone, if you've been on YouTube for 5 seconds watching Pokemon content, and if you're watching this video, chances are you have, you notice that they're not reprinting booster boxes, right? In fact, for specialty sets, they're not even necessarily reprinting ETBs. Obviously, for Prismatic, we are seeing a ton of ETBs hit the market. I think that's expected, especially with what Pokemon said they were going to do moving forward. But if you look back to Paldean Fates, you look back at 151, we are not seeing those ETBs be reprinted. And I think that is a calculated and strategic move by Pokemon, okay? We have continued to see 151 product drip fed into the market, or sometimes just the whole like water hose is turned on full with some of the Costco drops and the bundle drops and things like that. Now we're seeing their focus more so on the prismatic side, but we're also about to start the Mega Evolutions era, and that whole chapter of Pokemon for the SV era is coming to an end pretty soon, which is pretty sad. I feel like the Scarlet and Violet era had so much more potential, and it's so interesting that we're doing this like halvesies kind of approach with Mega Evolutions and Scarlet and Violet. Anyways, I am honestly Excited about the future of the hobby. I think that we're in a really great place. However, I do think that Pokemon really needs to figure out what their approach is going to be and really how, where they feel comfortable with the secondary market being. Because right now, I think there's a lot of these little kind of corners of the market that are kind of crazy, okay? So you look at people scalping product, you look at the craziness of human to human interaction at places like Costco when things are released. Those things do not paint Pokemon or the hobby in a positive way. But those do not necessarily mean the entire hobby is unhealthy, okay? And that's really the point of this video. I think if you want to point at one area where the hobby needs to be addressed, there's an issue, there's a problem, it is the Pokemon Company. And it is their approach to reprinting, okay? I am not in the camp that says all sets will be reprinted and that we'll have a chance to find everything at a lower price. I do think that moving forward, we're gonna see Pokemon take maybe additional risk when it comes to reprinting some of these newer sets in the new era. I don't know. I just kind of feel like right now is the time for them to really start experimenting with some of these newer sets. And I think that that's what we've seen them do in the past as well. Just be prepared that if you miss out on 151 ETBs, maybe buying in at almost $1,000 for the PC ETB or like $300 to $500 for the regular ETB, maybe that's outside of your comfort zone, and I totally respect that. Full transparency, I have one ETB of 151. I'm very proud of that one ETB. It's not a PC ETB, just an ETB. That thing is sick. It's gonna stay chilling in my vault for a long, long time in the future. I'm happy for the position I have in 151. However, I'm not rushing to the secondary market to buy a $900 to $1,000 PC ETB. It's okay to miss out. One set that I missed out on that I really am kicking myself about is Crown Zenith, actually. So Crown Zenith, when I first got back into the hobby, around the time 151 dropped, I saw Crown Zenith ETBs pretty regularly at the store. I didn't really understand what the set was. I didn't understand the significance of that set and the history of that set and why it was so cheap. I just saw a Lucario on the box and I was like, Lucario is cool, but I like 151 better. So I bought the 151. I bought the Obsidian Flames ETB and I bought them to rip at the time. Because I was just jumping back in. I was just getting collections and getting binders, starting to fill those out. It was so much fun. And I hadn't quite pivoted to this kind of new season for me in selling and having a business and doing all of that yet. So I missed out on Crown Zenith and I'm okay with that, okay? I do wish, and I wish I would have bought some, but at the same time, I'm okay that I don't have any because it was a good learning lesson. It's taught me a lot about the approach I'm gonna have moving forward in the hobby. So the issue is, full circle to the issue, is Pokemon companies not meeting demand. Demand is at all-time highs. It's crazy, and that's leading to some really weird situations where there's scalping going on, people taking advantage. What was the crazy thing from this week? The people at that were scan and pay at Sam's Club. Sorry, I can't think. At Sam's Club, they had 100 different Sam's Club accounts, switching between them, getting their limited order, and then they walked out with multiple pallets of the new prismatic drop. How crazy is that? Okay, that is a crazy corner. We're gonna call that a CC in the hobby. But the issue, that is not the root issue, and that is not a sign that it's necessarily an unhealthy hobby. That is a crazy corner, a CC, that its root stem that's causing that problem is the shortage of supply. That's on Pokemon Company. I think that they're testing the waters. I think they're calculated and strategic. They're testing different products in the market to see what sells, to see what is gonna keep things on the shelves. All of that is very intentional by them. I'm gonna leave that up to them, but at the end of the day, when I see people frustrated about product, about the secondary market, I really look upwards to the Pokemon Company and saying, hey, where are you at? Where's all the products? Because that's on them to provide to us. Whether you're a business, you have distribution, whether you're a business like me, you buy and sell from, buy from collectors, sell and all of that, reseller. Or if you're just a collector and someone that enjoys the hobby, it all stems from the Pokemon Company and their ability to reach and meet demand. So let's go ahead and pivot to more of the spicy topic of the video, which is why do I think we're in a healthy market, a sustainable market, and not one that's on the brink of crashing? Now, you may remember that I've released videos about the Pokemon market crashing. I've never believed, if you watch those videos all the way through, I say it very clearly, I've never been in the boat that thinks the market's going to crash. I think that in the future, whether that's short, medium, or long term, that the newer sets, whether that's Mega Evolutions or Gen 11 or whatever, I think at a certain point in the future, things are going to soften. Things are going to correct. We're going to see a sharp decline in the price of newer products. Now, will that include Prismatic Evolutions, Destined Rivals, Journey Together? I don't know. And the longer it takes to get to that point, the lower the chances it will include those boxes and those sets, okay? But I do think that time's coming. I think that we need to be aware of that, especially if you're a business person, especially if you use leverage in your business to secure products. Just be very careful, okay? But why do I think it's a healthy market? Number one is the demand, okay? I don't see how anyone can stand up in front of a camera or type on their keyboard to post on Reddit or any Discord servers that this is an unhealthy market, okay? We're seeing the demand just at all-time highs. People are loving ripping packs, whether they find them, whether they buy them from the secondary market, from retail. They're loving the idea of opening product, chasing after cards. We even see that in rip and ships from Whatnot to Twitch and all the things in between. There is a lot of natural demand. Now, a lot of people may say that people are just ripping for those top-end cards so that they can invest, they can grade, they can flip. And honestly, in my experience, from being a seller, having Nostalgianomics says he has a small stream. That's a joke, okay? He's like in the top 1%. He just feels like he's small. Listen, I have a small stream. I have like 5 to 15 viewers at max, and I do not rip hundreds of packs every night that I stream. I have a stream on Fridays and Saturdays. If you ever want to join me on Twitch, YouTube, and typically Instagram, we hang out, we talk about TCGs, and we rip some packs and have a little rip and ship if that's what you want to engage in. I can tell you, based off the people that engage with my content and my streams, that people are ripping to collect. People are trying to collect a master set of White Flare. Now, are there people that jump in just chasing after those like crazy hits? Of course. That's why they exist. That's why those hits exist, is to chase after them. But there are so many people that genuinely love the hobby and genuinely want to collect and build binders and all of these things, that I think it's a really beautiful thing. And I think if you stay, this is really important, okay? If you are too deep in the rabbit hole of like investment, business, Pokemon market content, this zone right here, if you are too deep in this hole of the hobby, this side of the hobby, I think things get pessimistic and negative super fast, okay? So every so often, step outside of this, okay? Go open a pack with your family, okay? Go buy a couple packs, sit down with your best friend for coffee or a beer, open them, and enjoy the hobby. Talk about your favorite Pokemon. Talk about your favorite experiences with the games. How excited you are for ZA. Like go and enjoy Pokemon again, okay? Basically, I used to play Fortnite. What that was called is going and touching grass, okay? I was already dog water at the video game. I was touching grass a lot because I wasn't very good. But sometimes for us that are so deep into the selling and market side of things, it's good for us to get out and just remember why we even enjoy Pokemon. And if you don't enjoy Pokemon, you're literally here just for the business and just for the financial side, welcome to the party. I hope that you're successful, but just be careful because your motivation for being here, what happens when there is a slowdown, a softening of the market? Just be careful, okay? So that's one of the like primary reasons I think we're in a healthy market is just the natural demand, okay? Number 2 is the secondary market is thriving, okay? Again, these are all going to be tied to demand, but the secondary market is thriving, whether that's Facebook Marketplace, TCG Player, sales volume is through the roof. And I know this because I sell bulk, I sell singles, I sell sealed product on my streams. Like, it is very impressive how much people are running to the secondary market to engage with the hobby that they love. And this is normal, guys. In the market, okay, I know right now there's a lot of YouTubers that say that you should avoid the secondary market because of the prices. But the secondary market, whether that's your local card store, TCG Player, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, whatever, that's always kind of been the primary place to buy Pokemon cards, to engage in the hobby. No one was saying don't go to the secondary market when prices were lower, okay? The secondary market is always a good thing for Pokemon. And right now, the prices are reflecting the shortage of supply, the demand level, and everything like that. Do I think you should run out and buy 3 cases of Destined Rivals at 300 per box? No, I don't think so. I think that you need to be wise and strategic and calculated in what you're buying and know what your limits are and stick to those so that you can enjoy the hobby for a long, long time. Danny Phantom says that all the time. It's all about trying to encourage people to do things in a sustainable way that they can do for a long time. So secondary market strong, demand is at all-time crazy highs. What's the third piece that I think makes this hobby so healthy and really here for the long run, for as long as it lasts? I think it's because we see all people in the hobby interacting. I've been a big proponent that Pokemon is big enough for everyone, okay? And what I mean by that is in this craziness, there, especially at the beginning of the surge of hype, whenever products started disappearing, it was really easy to come across content that was pointing fingers at people. Like, it's the investor's fault. It's, for hoarding all their product. They're the ones out there buying it and not opening it. It's the rip and shipper's fault because distributors are favoring them and giving all of them the allocations, and then LGSs are running dry, or it's the LGS's fault, it's the distributor's fault, it's blah 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 blah. We just or the Spider-Man meme where we're all standing in a circle pointing at each other. I've actually created videos about that. Here's the deal though. I think that the root of the problem is Pokemon Company. We covered that earlier. But I think that all of us make the hobby as amazing as it is, whether you're a vendor, a reseller, a LGS, a rip and shipper, a collector. All of us in every facet of the hobby make it what it is, and it's really spectacular. So again, I just really encourage everyone to step outside of the chaos. Remember why you enjoy Pokemon. Maybe go rip a pack just for fun, for funsies. I think that this market is healthy, okay? I think that we have a lot of positive signs. I think we've seen more people dive into the hobby than ever before. And I'm not gonna be a negative Nancy about that and say everyone's just chasing after dollars. Is there a large portion of people probably doing that? Absolutely, with the craziness. That's fine. But there's also a lot of people that are rediscovering a hobby that they loved back in the day, and they're starting to jump back into it. There's also a lot of people that are just now getting interested in Pokemon and learning about it. And they'll be here to play the card game. They'll be here to collect for the long term. I just think that Pokemon is ever evolving, and with it being the top media franchise in the universe, in the world, I think that it's an ever evolving thing. As more people jump in, as people fall off of the hobby, the revolving door and the ever constant changing state of the cards and the hobby and the game and the collectors, it's going to look different. Like 6 months from now, Pokemon will look different than it does now, and that's not a bad thing, okay? 2 years from now, the top chase cards will likely look different than they do right now. And that's crazy for us to think about, but it's happened in every generation change. There's always something bigger, better, and crazier that they can do. Thank you so much for watching. I think I'm really going to end it there. Again, if you want to support me, definitely hit that like button, comment down below, hit that sub button. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. That'd be lit. And then if you want to support me and my business, you can go over to rartcg.com. There's a link there that says complete your master set, let's go. That will take you to my TCG Player Pro site where I have all of my cards listed 5% below market, whether that's bulk cards to, singles. I have Magic listed there if you're looking for some playables for your deck or your commander deck. Go check it out. If you want to support me and my business, that's the place to do it. And definitely take advantage of those savings over there as well. I appreciate y'all. I really enjoy making these videos, and I'll see you for the next one soon. Peace.